Everybody, preseason college basketball games are rolling along, just like our conference preview series. And tonight, it's all about the ACC. Mike will join me in studio to shine the spotlight on key players returning to the conference, an impressive freshman class, as well as a handful of hoopers riding the waves of player mobility. Let's get to it. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball information, powered by the universe's greatest website, drroto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host, the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train, and I go by the name of Jay Heinrich. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon. Follow me, and I smash that follow back button. Rolling too deep in the studio tonight on your viewing devices, as you can see, and I'm rolling with the man known as El Capitan himself. He's the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. He does the ship, I do the train. Follow him on X at MC Holland34. The OG Money Mike. It's Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
Yo, man. Yeah, you're right. Preseason basketball is here. I know we're talking ACC tonight, but got to watch St. John's and Rutgers. What a game that was. UNC and Memphis was the other day. The thing that I'm noticing, there's going to be a lot of points scored in college basketball this year. I mean, there's some high totals. Obviously, when guys get settled in, we get rotations locked down, that defense will come through. But, it's just good to see the guys on the court again and getting our first look. So pretty excited. But if you guys haven't checked out all the stuff that we've done, I know we say this every single show, go back and watch it. Tons of videos. We got coaching interviews. We broke down position battles. We did incoming freshmen. We covered the entire transfer portal. I wrote up a 500 player transfer board that you could find on drroto.com. And then we're doing all these conference previews. And I think after today, we'll only have 3 left, man.
Oh,
so,
man.
Yeah, we're knocking down another 18 teams tonight. So we got to get started.
A couple of shows in a row with 18-team conferences. What are we doing, guys? These super conferences, it's the future anyway, and there's 2 conferences getting out in front of it here. Speaking of getting out in front of it, get out in front of yourself and make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Don't do anything else before you do that. Hit like and subscribe, turn on the notification bells over on the YouTube channel, Green Screens Media, if you're over with us on those old Twitter streets, as our guy at Fantasy Nav likes to roam. Our guy Eric the Blue, make sure you follow him over there, as well as at The Real Napier, Nate T. Hustle, our guy Chris, as well. The whole Green Screens Media crew, everybody you see on these One and Done streets. And more importantly, follow the show page at One and Done CBB on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. Just follow us everywhere. Do your part and push the button. Woo! Very good. Very good. We appreciate y'all. Hop in the live chat. We know we're going to see some of our OGs in there tonight. Make sure you hop in there and keep it flowing. Keep it nice. We're a family-related show. Now, it's not always 100% true, but we're going to have some fun tonight, Mike. We are definitely going to do that. So do your parts. Hit those buttons. Let's break down the ACC, Mike. Last year, 15 teams in this league. That number obviously has increased to 18, but North Carolina won the regular season title, pulled away from Duke to capture it by 2 games, actually 2-game difference there. In the conference tournament, one of the greatest runs in the history of March, many said. NC State made the miracle run, winning 5 games in 5 nights, beat Duke, beat UNC. It's not like they just cakewalked their way on some by luck. No, they beat some good teams on their way to steal a bid. They had to. They weren't making it, Mike. And we'll get into that later. We'll get into that stuff later. But either way, they got them an 11 seed. And Mike, only 5 teams got in overall out of this conference last year, but there was some big time success. Obviously, North Carolina was a 1 seed, Duke a 4, Clemson a 6, Virginia was a 10 seed playing that we don't really need to. We don't have to talk about. I mean, one of the worst efforts. It's okay. We're going to move past it. I mean, Virginia's got a lot to move past, and we'll get to that too later on. But, all right, let's get back to the success in the tournament last year. UNC makes a Sweet 16, but bounced by Bama, right? Clemson reeled off wins over New Mexico, Baylor, and my pick last year, Arizona, to make the Elite Eight before losing to that same Alabama squad. Duke, another Elite Eight in the annals of time for them, but were bounced once again by NC State. And then that NC State Final Four appearance and Cinderella run was put to an end by the monster known as Zach Edey and the Purdue Boilermakers. And then, like I said earlier, we're not going to talk about the play-in game, the 42-point output there.
Disgusting.
Like somebody else couldn't have been a better.
Want Indiana State in, and of course we get Virginia dropping 42 in the play.
Yeah, exactly. We want to see what's his face with the goggles.
Robbie Avila.
Avila, yeah, like what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that guy. We wanted to see him in the tournament, and we couldn't. That's it. All right, we're moving on. You see, this is why I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to go about into it, but that's okay. We got there. Okay, 5th-rated conference in the country last year by Ken Pom. 12 teams in the top 100. So again, only 5 teams made the tournament, but they did have 12 out of 15 teams inside the top 100 on Ken Pom. All right, that's enough of me here. Mike, how about some headlines for the ACC heading into the season?
Well, you're leading me down the path here with this Virginia talk. But, of course, this is the talk that has basically swept the sport today. And because there's a coaching change, it is October 17th. And we have Tony Bennett retiring, seemingly out of left field. I want to get into all the stuff that's being spread out there about why he's retiring and different things like that. As of right now, it doesn't look like the Cavs have announced an interim man yet. Roy Sanchez, Richie McKay, like those are some of the options thought to be in the running on such a short notice. What a wild day. What are your thoughts on that, Jay? Do you think it's just setting up an assistant, right, to get that spot? Obviously, trying to keep those players together. Just kind of a weird deal, right?
It's a tale as old as time. the old veteran going out on his back for the young up-and-comer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what happened here. Kayfabe lives on with Tony Bennett.
Exactly.
And we were talking about it in the pre-show meeting. It's like there's a transfer window that opens now. Your coach left. How is this going to work?
Weird.
I know we're going to have to dive into that. We're going to have to figure out is there going to be any player movement? Are there even spots available? And we were talking about McNeely, like somebody couldn't use a shooter of that caliber somewhere. But anyways, we'll get down that road a little bit later. But obviously, this close to the season, and your coach is gone, that ruffles some feathers
on his own terms too. That's wow.
Again, veteran going out on his back for the. It's you got to respect it, if nothing else. I respect the hell out of Tony Bennett anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
We gave him hell, obviously. There's ups and downs.
And then DFS, the pace of play.
Yeah, and when every time we talk about him being the 323rd ranked tempo, stuff like that. But losing as a 1 seed. But he got his natty, and he went out on his own terms. So congratulations to Coach Bennett. A lot of question marks for that Virginia team, though, Mike.
Yeah. So a lot of questions. We'll get to them in the tier section. But Louisville let go of Kenny Payne. Everyone saw that coming. They're bringing in Charleston head coach Pat Kelsey. A lot of buzz over there at the Louisville. SMU got rid of Rob Lanier, and Andy Enfield from USC is now the sheriff. And then Stanford moved on from Jared Haas, and they're bringing in Kyle Smith from Washington State. So a couple of things that stick out, man, like the conference, like you kind of mentioned, only 5 bids, felt disrespected. Arguably you had the best tourney outside of UConn. It felt like the two conferences that were snubbed with bids, right, ended up performing the best. So go figure. But now you got 18 teams, so you feel like we're going to get those bids to 7 to 8 teams now with the dissolved Pac-12. And then of all the super conferences, Jay, it feels like there's a big, like we were doing the Big Ten show, and it was like the team that we pick 18th, like Washington, it could legitimately finish 6th. Like there's absolutely nobody's in the top 10 of the AP. Like, it's just kind of a mess. Feels like this one, you've got the heavy hitters, you've got a solid mid-tier, and then you've got some teams that kind of be tough to project being competitive. So kind of a pretty big disparity, I feel like, as we get into this.
The difference between the 18-team Big Ten and the 18-team ACC is, to me, I mean, I know that at the top of this conference, there's some
obviously.
really solid teams and programs, but the Big Ten is probably going to get, what do you think? How many teams do you think that they'll get into the tournament this year? I would say, I'm just going to say 10.
9 or 10, yeah.
And the ACC, are they going to sniff 10?
Mm-hmm. No, there's no way. It's going to be tough to put. Yeah, as we get into the tiers, you'll see like the mid-tier of the ACC versus if they did a challenge, I would feel like the Big Ten would have, obviously don't want to challenge the guys at the top of the ACC, Duke, UNC, every year, right, with talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mid-tiers, I mean, yeah, that's going to be a storyline to watch for sure, Jay.
No doubt about it. Good stuff there. Some headlines for the ACC. If you're hanging out with us, we appreciate you. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't. Show your broskies in basketball a little bit of love right there. That's our guy. I like to do when our guy Eric comes on. Give him a little heart. Drop a heart emoji in the live chat for Eric. We're pushing the buttons tonight. Fire emojis too for our guy Nate C. Hustle. Show us some love. Push all those buttons. Let's get to the player spotlight, though, Mike. Plenty of players we want to focus, spend a little bit of time on in the ACC. And we always like to start with the players, the veterans, per se, of the conference. Tonight, we're going to start with, is there really another place that we can start? Like, I know, yeah, exactly, right? It's okay, North Carolina, and we're talking RJ Davis and Elliot Cadeau, okay? Not surprising here. So let's start with the Tar Heel tandem, as it says so beautifully there on the graphic. Davis, do I need to elaborate? I mean, he
Not
was
really.
Dude. He was that guy last year. Conference Player of the Year, 21 points, 3 dimes, 40% from deep. He deserved every bit of those accolades that he received in the postseason. And then Cadeau, 7 points, 4 assists last year. And now and that was as a freshman. Okay. And we're going to talk about it later on. It's not like there's a ton of freshmen that are contributing. We're going to talk on a lot of freshmen later in the show. But they're few and far between in the college game. Elliot Cadeau is one of those that stood out last year. And, Mike, this is you could put in the argument for the premier backcourt in the country.
Yeah, you absolutely could. I mean, like RJ Davis, one of the 3 best players in the country. I mean, he's going to go out. He's going to get you 20. He's going to be efficient. He's going to get to the line. He's going to make the right plays. I mean, he just does it all, man. Like, there's nothing I could really say about RJ Davis that really the world. He's been on the big stage for 3 years now, seemingly, right, since they played in the Natty game. But just an excellent player, right? Elliot Cadeau is the guy. A lot of buzz around him in the preseason. We got to see him rack up 11 and 13 in the exhibition game against Memphis the other night.
Just 13 times.
Yeah, that's no big deal, right? Like, Davis wasn't in, but still, like, if Davis is in, that's just another guy that can shoot next to him. So, like, the playmaking is not really a question with it. It's whether or not he's going to be able to improve that outside shooting. If he's able to be a threat from even 18 feet, but like if he's able to knock down threes in the 33 to 34% clip, like give me 32, just oh man, like this backcourt it's just going to be special, and one of the reasons why we're starting with them, and they're one of the top teams seemingly year in and year out as a blue blood program.
If you've been hanging out with us here on One and Done for a while, you know that the Heinrich line is 35% from 3-point. That's for me, and that's what's important. That's the line that I like to see these players shoot, especially at the volume the 3-point shot is taken. Are we going to have a Cadeau line now? Are you telling me that you'll be happy with 32%?
I mean, I'd be pretty happy with 32, 33, man.
Okay.
But if he shoots 35, like just pencil these guys into the, into at least the Elite 8. I mean,
I already have
anything happens.
So don't worry about that, my friend. Don't you worry about that. All right, good stuff there. Cadeau and Davis, the premier backcourt in the ACC for sure, and put it in the conversation for the entire country. there. All right. Good stuff there. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Moving from North Carolina to Miami. Bienvenido a Miami. Nigel Pack and Matthew Cleveland. Pack, 13.5 points, 3.5 assists, and 36% from three last season. And then Cleveland holding down the front court, also averaged 13.5 points, but 6 boards and 36% from three as well. These two, this tandem fit each other well. And this Miami squad, Mike, had the talent last year after that Final Four run, but injuries sort of hampered them.
Yeah, really did them in. I mean, it was kind of a shock when at the end of the year we're like, whoa, like, what happened to the team that returned a ton? And then you had Matthew Cleveland join the squad. We were like, oh, they're going to be so good. And just kind of fell apart, right? Like in Pack, he had a down year by his standards. Obviously, when you shoot 40% from three your first, first 3-4 years in college, like, I mean, you shoot under that, it's like, what's wrong with you? But he was pretty poor against top-level competition, which is a stark contrast from the rest of his career when you kind of look at his, when you look at his numbers. And I expect him to bounce back in a big way. I mean, his shooting and playmaking is obviously going to be key to Miami bouncing back. And then Cleveland, I know you were really high on him, Jay. I was super high on him. Just, I mean, they play him at that 4 spot. He's really like a fourth, like a massive jumbo guard. At 6'7", like he can handle the rock. They couldn't get it done. This whole team really couldn't get it done against top level competition. That's what really hampered them. That's some pretty poor losses too against some of the bottom tier competition. But I just see him improving his efficiency another year in Larrañaga's system here. I expect these two guys, to be the tip of the spear for this Miami team that I believe is going to bounce back for sure.
Yeah, it's likely that we'll see a little bit of a rebound there in form for the Hurricanes. Too good of coaching going on down there and too much talent not to, for sure. Another team with a two-headed spear, if you will, is Clemson, Mike. And now we're looking at a Clemson team where PJ Hall, he's not walking through that door. Okay,
the curious case of PJ Hall.
Yeah, it ain't happening, man. But Clemson is returning a couple of big pieces from their Elite Eight run, and it starts with Chase Hunter.
Yeah, man. So Chase Hunter was kind of cool to see. Like he was the man down the stretch. Like he's coming into year 5. He's coming off an incredible March. Averaged 17.5 points, 6 assists during the NCAA tournament. His turnover rate was the lowest it's been in his entire career. We know that he has full command of this offense. Like he is primed to put up a huge year. And then Ian Shefflin, 10 points per game, 9 rebounds, shot 47% from 3. You'll take that from your big man. And he's also one of those guys where like, yeah, the stats are, obviously 3-point shooting and the rebounding sticks out, but like he's not that guy that like you have to run plays for, that he's going to demand the ball. But top 50 in offensive rating last year, only needed a 17% shot rate to do it, which is pretty remarkable. Defensively, like he's not going to shut down anybody, but he's a big body. He's going to be a monster on the glass. If you miss it, he's going to box out that wide body and get the rebound, start the break. So if there's like an X Factor award that we were giving out tonight, he would be the heavy favorite to win that. I don't see him, maybe being in that star status, but I just see him in kind of that junkyard dog star status per se. You know what I mean? Where you just don't get all the credit, right? But you look at it, it's like, man, he does a lot of things that don't show up on the box score.
It's that Mario Elie role, man. Like that junkyard dog, a player that played for both the Rockets and the Spurs and just did all those little things. And they don't go unnoticed by people that understand the game. But if you're just hanging out and you're just reading box scores, like that's not necessarily always his game. It's not, but he does all of the things for his team for sure. Good stuff there for the Clemson duo. Those are some 2-packs, not Tupac, 2-packs that we've given you for the ACC, some returning duos, if you will, there. Now, if we do a 2-pack, we were going to do a 5-pack here on One and Done. We love ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5-pack right here. And we're going to give you 5 more around the pardon me, ACC to get you ready for the year. Some of these names aren't going to surprise you. You know, you've been watching.
Probably heard of some of these names.
These guys are guys.
We'll just touch on them.
No, but we're gonna run them down anyway because they're definitely super important. Oh, they're there. Pooh, up here, right there on
Eric's
the
on
screen.
fire.
You know we love us some guards, and Watkins is, you know, he's not necessarily your prototypical big man. He 6 boards a game, but bunch of guards and Watkins, the great defender. Burton was the freshman of the year last year. Salas was first team All ACC. We got the 6th man of the year right there from Pitt. So Mike,
a lot of talent back.
Where do you want to start here with these 5 returners to the ACC?
Yeah, man. You kind of mentioned Watkins there. Like, he entered the portal and we covered it seemingly the entire offseason, and then he came back. So a welcome get back for Coach Hamilton there. But we're going to get into this later. This team that he's coming back to got some question marks. He's going to be busy. I mean, absolutely busy. And he averaged 15.5, 6 boards, 2 steals. He's got a chance to put up some huge numbers. I don't see how he come. Hamilton likes to do this thing where he was the only guy that really was guaranteed 30 minutes last year for the most part. Everybody else was playing, 18 to 22 minutes doing that whole thing. But he needs to be playing 38 minutes for this team to have a chance. And we'll talk about that success and what we project a little bit later on. But, you can count on him for offense, man. He's going to be able to create. He's a big kid, nice wing that can handle the ball. He's going to be a factor on the defensive end. And then, Tyrese Proctor's here at the top, man. Like, he was one of our returning top 20 players, averaged 10.5 points, 3.5 assists, 35% from 3. The production hasn't always met the upside, but honestly, will it ever with most of these Duke guys? They have so many mouths to feed that 10 points on a Duke team is like 17 points on another team. You know what I mean? Kind of reminds me of those Kentucky squads and really those super teams that, happen with Duke. But here's my thing, man. He's got to improve against tougher opponents. Just didn't play well last year. Didn't score in the Elite 8 game against NC State in 30 minutes. That can't happen. He's going to be one of the focal points offensively. All the talk's going to be about the Duke freshman, but really, man, I look at his play. That's going to be a key factor. Ish Leggett, really nice backcourt pairing here that he has with Coach Capel and Jalen Lowe, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But one of the best stories, and we got to talk to Coach Capel, so go back and check that out. But Leggett's another 5th-year player, ton of experience, posted the most efficient year of his career. And if he can take his game, over the ceiling that he showed last year, Pitt's going to be in business. And then I don't know what we need to say, Jay, about Hunter Salas, other than that's what Wake does. They get these high upside transfer guards, and then they just absolutely blow up. I mean, he slashed 49, 40, and 78, and he's also one of the best defensive players in the country. So just an absolute weapon for the Demon Deacons. I mean, Coach Forbes, he struck gold again.
Well, that's what they do over there.
Yeah,
it's like a
really
factory.
That's what they do. You transfer there as a guard, you're going to be good.
Yeah. Who's the breakout player this year? Well, what guard transferred to Wake?
Yeah,
so
seriously.
Talk it in, right? Yeah. Let's not forget Marcus Burton. If you're not talking about Marcus Burton, you're missing out. You're kind of missing the boat on a really talented player. 9th in the country in usage, 20th in the country in assist rates, top 100 in steal rates. I'll keep going if I need to.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty good.
He's basically
for a freshman last year.
Yeah, and we talked about RJ Davis earlier in the show. That feels like the trajectory.
Yeah, man. It feels like he's going that way.
It feels you can almost see the arrow on the way up as you watch him play. And with a year under his belt at this level, a better supporting cast, the efficiency levels are going to rise. We're going to see better numbers out of Marcus Burton. What's the encore going to look like, man?
Yeah,
this is
let's
Notre
see it.
Dame is we'll talk about their team outlook later on, but Burton's going to play a huge part of anything that the old Golden Domers do out there for the old Fighting Irish, eh? The old leprechaun. They don't like that when you do that, do they?
No,
out there,
they
don't like that. I mean, I don't blame them, to be honest. Proctor, Watkins, Leggett, Burton, and Salas, right there. Good stuff. 5 players you got to pay attention to in this league. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure if you are, we see you hanging out in the lobby there, just chilling, which is cool. That's cool. But It'd be even cooler if you hopped in that live chat and said, "What's up?" Just say, "Hey." Just say, "Hey, first time, long time. Thanks for the Vine." Whatever you got to do. If you're watching now, that's cool. If you're watching later, get in the comment section. Let us know what you think about Coach Bennett leaving. Let you know what you think about. Let us know what you think about Burton. Is Burton gonna take another step forward? You know, is this just going to be North Carolina's year?
Tell us what you think about Duke.
We'll see. Yeah, be sure to that's everybody's favorite thing to do is get in the comments section and talk about how much they love Duke. So do that. We're going to talk about Duke right now as we switch over to freshmen. And yeah, that's right. Duke gets their own freshman segment here in the land of freshmen not contributing. Duke says, "You know what? We're gonna live over here. We're gonna have all these players, and we're still going to recruit 5-star players." Right. Cooper Flagg, hello. I mean, probably the number 1 pick, might not be anymore. You know, there's someone over there that played tonight for Rutgers that is apparently, you know, fighting for that, jockeying for that top spot in the NBA draft for the upcoming year. But that's not 1 5-star. That's not 2. That's not 3, Mike. Those are 4 5-star players coming in for the Blue Devils with some big-time expectations.
Yeah, it seems like every year, right, with Duke. It was Kentucky as well. But, yeah, Duke is going to take the best high school players. Maluach is in there. Evans, Knoopel's in there. I mean, like, we profiled this class over the summer. Flagg, clearly the headliner, right? Projected to be the number 1 pick. Just superstar type upside, handling ability, defensive ability, above the rim ability, 3-point shooting ability. Like, you already know. Maluach's the guy I'm keeping a really close eye on. Like, really nice size. The shot blocking 7'1". His athleticism is going to be pretty crucial, right? Like, you know, you need that stopper down there in the paint. Both of those, you know, both of him and Flagg, man, going to make Duke pretty tough defensively. Whereas last year, you know, Flip had some struggles down there. Mark Mitchell, more of a junkyard rebounder. They didn't really have like that Derek Lively freshman. I think, you know, in Maluach, give him 20 to 24 minutes of some really good defense and some rim running. He even shoot a 3 too. So it's going to be a tough duo, obviously. You know, for these other guys, like, we'll start to talk about Duke's transfers, and we did it all. If you watch any of our shows over the summer, like I'm kind of in love with what Duke did, not only bringing in the freshmen, but also the transfer. So we'll see if you know, these guys and a couple other guys that aren't on this graphic that are in the recruiting class. So we'll see if they can you know, make some noise here. I'm really expecting Maluach and Flagg to do their thing though, and you know, Flagg's gonna get the pub, but you know, the ceiling could come from one of these other guys absolutely breaking out. So yeah, I think all eyes are gonna be on Flagg though, and I'm expecting him to have a pretty nice year.
If you have ever asked the question, can a team play a couple of freshmen for 30 minutes a night and have success in college basketball?
Yeah, it's
going to be pretty close to that.
In these times, yeah.
Yeah, in these times where, and this is obviously the last year for the extra COVID years,
thank
and
God.
we are whatever deity you praise, let's be thankful for that. Going back to, you know, no more 6th-year guys on. I'm just ready to get this stuff back to normal with these eligibilities. Yeah, normal-ish, as normal as it can be. But to ask Flagg to play that many minutes, and he will. Maluach to play that many minutes, maybe not 30.
Yeah.
But 25?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to play big minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, Flagg and Maluach, they're obviously not the only players on this team. We'll hit on a lot of that, but they're going to play.
It's a good start. It's a good start when you're replacing a bunch of guys.
Not too shabby indeed. Okay, these aren't the only freshmen coming into the conference, so let's get off the Duke dandies. The diaper. Okay, what's up, Dickie V? Shout out Dickie V. Don't have time for the Dickie V story tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll get to it one of these days. Put my arm around the guy. Anyways, we'll get to it another time. But another star incoming freshman 5-pack. Here you go. Well, you know, another 5-pack. You know, we love ourselves some 5-pack. Why is it a 5-pack? Because I took the 6th and I already drank it. That's okay. We got a 5-pack of incoming freshmen. Duke had 4 of them by themselves. Here's 5 more across the whole conference that we wanted to put a spotlight on. If that gives you another indication of how good Duke's incoming class is. But, again, Florida State with Daquan Davis, North Carolina with a couple of 5-stars, Miami a 5-star guard, Donnie Freeman 5-star to Syracuse there. Again, freshmen have, on the whole, Mike, freshmen have not been as impactful recently. We talk to coaches, and they're always putting emphasis on experience. Every single one of them, nearly to a T, uses the word experience when they're talking about what's so important to their locker room, or if they have it or they don't have it, and how they're going to get experience. These guys obviously don't have any experience, but they're all way too talented to not have a role.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it also has to do with this freshman class is head and shoulders above the freshman class that we had last year. I feel like there's more impactful guys in this one. Not just we got to see a couple of them tonight with Rutgers. Like, they already looked the part, and they built that Rutgers program around those 2 guys. I think when you look at this list, like, obviously the Duke guys are going to play important roles. We talked about that. The North Carolina guys, like, probably not going to get heavy minutes just because of how deep the UNC squad is. They'll probably get 12 to 18 minutes. If there's injuries, right, they can push that up. Or for Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, we know they're super athletic. They've already made waves in the preseason. They're going to have a role, just probably not as big as these other 3. Daquan Davis has a decent chance to start for the Seminoles. Like, when you look at the roster, Jameer Watkins is there. There's not much that's in the way. I expect him to kind of pop early when it comes to, like, when we're talking about, like, who are the freshmen that are making the biggest impact. I think Daquan Davis could absolutely be that guy. Freeman's a projected top 15 pick by Jonathan Giovanni, and it might be hard for Coach Autry to keep this guy off the floor. There's not much competition when you look at the 4 spot for Syracuse. So I don't know that he'll, absolutely play 30 minutes a night, but I can see him starting out with a 20 to 22 minute type role, and then as his year progresses, maybe getting to that 28 to 30 minute mark. But he's super, super talented. Kind of gets lost in all the ACC 5-stars, which this conference signed a ton of them. Jalil Bethea, I mean, if you're a guard, Jay, why would you not go to Miami? I mean, I know that it wasn't a great year last year, but we've seen guys come through there, right? And he's a consensus top 5 incoming freshman when you look at the recruiting sites. Larry Nagel likes to do the 4-guard lineups, likes to play a lot of guards, even 6-man is a guard coming off the bench, right? So he could be in line for some easy shots being created by Nigel Pack, and obviously his athleticism will get him some easy shots. So yeah, man, like these are some dogs. I don't know that the UNC guys are going to obviously get to show that in year 1. I think Davis, Bethea, Freeman are knocking on the door pretty quickly.
Who's the biggest impact immediately? Who's going to play by Christmas? By Christmas, who's carved out a consistent, like, I get it with Jackson and Powell. But the most likely to play that 15 to 18 minutes a game and actually be contributing of these 5, who do you think it is?
Yeah, so I think we could even stretch it. I think Daquan Davis has a chance to play 25 to 28 early. Like, we'll see. Chandler Jackson's there. We'll talk about Florida State's roster, but I think he's going to be an important piece that they got to get him out there early. I think Donnie Freeman probably has maybe him and Jalil, but they have huge upside with the potential roles that they could have later in the season. I just don't see them coming out swinging. I see them as more of the 15, 18, 20-minute type guys to kind of start the year. But Daquan Davis for sure, and really just not due to the fact that I would say he's more talented than these other guys, but he has just his opportunity with this Florida State roster is going to obviously help him get on the court a little bit quicker for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, sometimes you don't got to be the highest recruit to have the biggest impact immediately.
Yeah. Like Zach Edey, wasn't he like 350, number 352 on the 24/7 composite? No. But he's 7'4" or whatever. So yeah.
How'd that work out for those?
Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
Who do I sound like? Dan Hurley? What are they having ranked this year?
Yeah.
Okay, calm down, coach. Let's chill out a little bit. It's anything for the bulletin board, anything. He's the chess master right now. He's pushing all the right buttons. Can't question Hurley at all. And you can't question that those are 5 freshmen that are coming into the ACC, and Davis, Bethea, Jackson, Powell, and Freeman, that are going to play roles for their teams. And they might not all be the standout guys right away, but definitely some talented players to watch in the years to come. Good stuff there. All right. That's enough for the freshman stuff, right? We had to hit on them, Mike. They're just so talented, especially the Duke guys. We were going to talk about freshmen for sure. Now, let's get into a little portal combat. All right, there we go. I did it. Whatever that is.
Finish it.
Oh, hey, look who it is, right on cue, and it's almost like he has the show sheet. No Louisville people in here. Don't you worry, my good sir. Even though you might you might be pushing a little bit on the old sarcastic side. Yeah, they have lost.
Close your eyes during this section. Close your eyes.
Close your eyes, make a wish, and we'll talk Louisville. We're going to do it, Peanut Butter Posse. We're going to do it. We're going to talk the portal, though. We're switching gears and switching lanes, going from freshmen to the portal. And as we switch those gears, make sure you switch on those notification bells and hit those like and subscribe buttons as well for your broskies here on One and Done and Green Screens Media. If you're hanging out with us on Twitter, big numbers on Twitter. We've been doing great numbers on Twitter. Get over to YouTube. Type Green Screens Media. Green Screens, plural, media. And we'll come up. What are we at? Like 1,163?
Yeah, I think it's 1163, I think is where we're at. So, yeah, let's get there.
On our way to 18 gazillion
wherever there is.
And one. Yeah, wherever there is, wherever we record live from somewhere, we're going somewhere. That's where our goal is on YouTube. Peanut Butter Posse already. We're not on the tiers section yet. We're not talking tiers yet. We'll get to the tiers later, my friend. But let's talk Louisville. A new look Louisville indeed. We like our 5-packs, but we also like our 4-box as well. Look at those shiny red graphics right there. Chucky Hepburn, you might recognize him from another team where white and red were popular. That was Wisconsin, averaged 9 points and 4 assists for them last season. Corin Johnson, the Washington transfer guard, where he averaged 11 points and 37% from 3. Terrence Edwards. This is we talk about your classic, like, will the game translate from a lower level to the higher level of competition? And that's what we're going to get to see in Edwards, who's coming from James Madison, where he averaged 17 points and 3.5 assists per game. And then Cason Pryor, the big man from South Florida, formerly of South Florida, now in Louisville, red and white. He averaged 13 points, 8 boards, and 35% from 3. Not too bad stepping out for Pryor there and shooting the old deep ball. Hard
and the headband and the hairdo.
See, now listen, the only time I ever wore a headband in a game, I got locked up in the first half and my coach yelled at me at halftime for wearing a headband and making it about myself. I never wore a headband after that. Okay? I didn't need to. Pryor pulls it off, though, and he has the game for it, for sure. Despite Peanut Butter Posse's displeasure for this Louisville roster, it was kind of hard just picking 4 guys, but these are the 4, Mike, that are probably going to determine the ceiling for this team.
Yeah, I think this is probably the 4 right here, the old core 4. But getting someone like Hepburn, man, like you know the shade, like a veteran, just super critical for Coach Kelsey. Has tons of experience. Like, his numbers don't ever jump off the page, but he's a veteran presence. And he can get it done on both ends of the floor for you. I think the guy that we're most excited about, Corin Johnson, I feel like he can fill it up for 15 to 20 a night. His shot making upside is absolutely through the roof. This offense, I feel like, is going to fit him. Up and down. Shoot threes. Just that free flowing offense. I really think he's going to benefit from that. Edwards, like, one of the most intriguing guys. You talked about, can he make the transition? Like, James Madison, pretty solid program. I know they lost in the first round of the tournament, or they won in the first round of the tournament, obviously, after, people were kind of upset how they finished the year after starting the year beating Michigan State, but he was their best player. Like his size, length, and experience had shined through at the beginning of the year, shined through towards the end of the year, and he's going to be an important part for their wing position here. So we'll see how he does. His fit is a little weird next to these other guys, but yeah, I mean, I still think he's going to be a solid piece. I don't think he's going to put up anything like we saw, but 10 points per game, 12 points per game from him with efficient numbers. That'll do the trick there. And then Jason Pryor, just a perfect small ball 5 for this system. Like evidence that as kind of doing that at South Florida last year. Big question marks in the ACC if he's going to be able to hold up nightly on the defensive end. So I do worry about that, Jay, a little bit. But yeah, man, like these guys all have intriguing upside. They all, they've all kind of done it at other places, right? Now let's see if they can do it collectively here in Louisville.
Sometimes we've seen teams in our town win the portal and not necessarily find a way just to make it work on the bigger scale.
Yeah, the range of outcomes is crazy.
Level, it's big. It's very big, for sure. It's large. It's the largest. You've never seen a range of outcomes so large as you have for Louisville. Yeah, man. They're not the only transfers into the conference, though. Louisville did their part. They rode the wave of player mobility, as player mobility, as our guy Eric likes to say. And but they're not the only school that took advantage of it. There's a few other transfers coming into the ACC that we wanted to make sure that we hit on before the season began. How do you really – okay, there's – most of these players, Mike, I've already done it at a high level, right? Like at a higher level school. Most of these guys – this isn't like their first rodeo coming in and playing big time basketball, right? You got guys coming in from Louisville, transferring from Wake, obviously in the conference here, transferring from Colorado, guys that have done it at a high level for a while. I mean, Cade Tyson from Belmont is the one that you look at that might not have it all that run. At the upper level conference, he averaged 16 and 6 boards for Belmont last year and 47% from deep as well. Huntley Hatfield, North Carolina State, snagged him from Louisville. Kevin Miller coming from Wake. Like I said, Lampkin was the former Colorado Buff that when he's healthy and on the floor is going to contribute and give you good minutes. Sion James, right? That the transfer from Tulane. Duke, the rich get richer, right?
The rich get richer.
And 5 boards, a steal and a half, 38% from 3 for James. So why don't you start there, Mike, with James and then hit on anybody else you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, we've been just banging the drum. I was going to pick Mason Gillis, right? Malik Brown. We want James. Just feel like his versatility on both ends. 4 years of experience at Tulane. Going to give this roster a big boost in experience. All these guys are. It's not going to shock me if he's starting or just a 6th man by the middle of the year and a very important 6th-man role. So I think this is kind of different than what we've seen. We'll profile the team obviously a little bit later. I think we know what tier they're going to go in. But, yeah, James obviously a really nice piece that we like here. Kevin Miller played really well at Wake Forest. This is an interesting system. Like Andy Enfield, we know he's very guard-centric. Kevin Miller's going to be a tough cover, like fully healthy last year after coming off the injuries from Central Michigan. Really, really excelled, go figure, in the Forbes system at Wake Forest. I think he will do that in the infield system. So looking forward to another quality year from Kevin Miller. Eddie Lampkin, he's back for a 5th year. It's his 3rd program, though. Started at TCU's at Colorado last year. At Colorado, he got to finally get career highs in minutes, put up career highs in points, rebounds, assists. Like offensively, he's giving Syracuse something that they haven't really had recently. Like I know Jesse Edwards was there, but if you were to obviously the player Jesse Edwards had more ceiling, right, defensively and maybe an overall offensive game. But like Eddie Lampkin, you just throw it down low to him. He's going to be really hard to cover. He's going to get to the free throw line, get easy buckets, take the pressure off of your guards. You worry about him defensively where you didn't really have to worry about Jesse Edwards on the defensive end. But regardless, a big man with this type of experience is definitely a welcome addition. You hit on Huntley Hatfield. Like there's a void there. DJ Burns gone, so
Right.
his ability on both ends is going to be pretty critical for Coach Keats here. You're not going to flat out replace what Burns did, but he's obviously a solid piece to the puzzle. I like Tyson as well. His shooting didn't shoot it great in the preseason game, but he shot a lot of them, 6 threes. Hit one, but you expect that he's going to get open looks, especially playing next to Cadeau and Davis and those guys. So. Yeah, man, there's a lot of incoming talent. These are just 5 guys that kind of stick out in their particular situations. But you look at this thing, and there's a ton of transfers coming in, and it wouldn't surprise me, if we had done a list of 20 of these guys. But for time constraints, and we just wanted to kind of narrow it down and spotlight some of these guys on here. But overall, a nice additions for all these squads that we have up here.
Burns, old Gen Zebo, as they were calling him.
Yeah, Gen Zebo. That's hilarious.
Love that dude. I hit on Tyson earlier. Is he going to be able to play the 4 mic?
Oh man, I don't know, dude. I don't think so. He's like 6'6", 6'7". Jaden Washington's already I wouldn't say undersized. He's like 6'9". Ben Allen was a big kid, so I don't know, man. Defensively. Yeah, scary.
But look, he took 6 threes in that exhibition game. The ball's gonna be in his hands. I feel like he's gonna have an opportunity to show.
He'll shoot a lot of threes.
They didn't bring him in from Belmont to not stretch the floor, to not get out there and make players on the defensive end respect him,
right?
And come out and put a hand in his face. So I mean, you got Cadeau and Davis there, right? Like they're gonna. Just stand there. Okay?
Just stand open and make these shots when they get to you.
Stand on the wing, stand over in the corner, and watch Cadeau be precise like a surgeon and get you the ball and hit your shots. You can't go 1 for 6 every night like you did in the exhibition. That's okay. Yep. It's preseason. It's for charity. Sure. Right. But just hit him. Hit your shots, man. That's what they brought him in for.
He's an X factor, man.
To do it. Definitely. Like if we're talking about Cade Tyson and he's what? I mean, he shot 47% from 3 last year.
I mean, if he shoots 40, you're still.
So what's the over under? I'll say 40. I'll say 40. What's for over under is 40 for Tyson. Are you going under or over?
I just looking at the talent he played with at Beaumont last year. You had Malik Dia and you had Jacoby Gillespie, both guys playing in the Power 5 ranks now. That was a really good Belmont team. I'll draw dead even, man. 40% I think is realistic for him. But yeah, I think it's right there, man.
So what you're saying is the odd makers understand what is going on, man. 40%. Yeah, I'm trying to make it tough on you there. You didn't do it. You didn't bite. 40%. Hey, that's big time. They'll take it too, right? They're not gonna. North Carolina will definitely take 40% from deep there. Some players to watch there.
Lee Hatfield. Was he in the SEC? Yes, he was. He was with Louisville.
Shocking.
The one bright spot there.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Peanut Butter Posse. We appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit all those buttons if you haven't already. Show us some love at One and Done CVB on X, TikTok, Instagram. Just do the thing. Most importantly, get over to YouTube. Green Screens Media. That's the conglomerate. That's what we're working with under the umbrella of Green Screens Media. That's the YouTube page. Find it. One and Done. Will be airing on that channel for all of eternity. We're going to be here sitting talking about Elliot Cadeau the fifth right here, committing and playing. We're going to be here talking about it on One and Done. That's because that's what we do. However long it takes, we're going to be here. So make sure you're here with us. And the best way to do that, push subscribe, turn on the notification bells, hang out with us whenever you can. Okay, it's time for the world famous tiers section, and Peanut Butter Posse saying lots of tears for the Cards
last year.
Yeah, Loserville low tier. Those are fighting words, Peanut Butter Posse. Not for me. I don't have a dog in this fight, but I don't know if you're going to want to watch this segment. I'm just telling you, brace yourself for Louisville. But first, we're going to start with Boston College. We didn't really talk about the Eagles much in the player spotlight, Mike. It's a young team. that's going to lean on transfers. Shocking. Like, tell me you haven't heard this story before. So post all the dudes from last year.
Gone.
They're out the door. Deion Brown transferring in from UMBC. 19 points a game if you need it last year. He's got to get it going for Boston College. 8-12 last year, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's tough for me to get them back to that total. We're going to put Boston College in the low tier, starting off with the negativity. Sorry, guys and gals, broskies and broskets. I'm starting off with the negativity, even though I like Mike to do that. And unfortunately, Cal. Guys, I'm gonna get the Matson dancing just to do it.
What did they get? They got 16 wins last year, I think. 16. So you're getting close. You had the old
I said 20 in the preseason as one of my bold things. They weren't that bad.
No, they weren't that bad last year. Yeah,
they weren't that bad.
13 wins, my bad. But in conference play,
still
in conference play,
they weren't that bad. Figuring it out for Coach Madsen in his first year. And obviously I overshot it, but expectations were met and exceeded, I feel like, out there for Coach Madsen. And again, it's another year of transfers that they're going to have to rely on. Andrej Stojakovic, yes, that Stojakovic.
Yeah.
You know the name. Yes, you do. Especially, Daddy played in the league for a while, old Peja, but Andrej is another player all on his own. 8 points for Stanford per game last year. The pedigree, the upside is there. You love that for Cal. Petritis from Air Force, 15.5 points, 6 boards, 3.5 assists, a little bit of everything. He's going to be the central piece offensively for Cal. And the guy we're probably most excited about, another player that is going to have to adjust the game from North Dakota to the ACC, which again, can we make Cal playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference is something that we had not really discussed, but it's happening, so we just got to deal with it. This is the ACC, though. They're going to take a few more lumps under Coach Madsen this year. BJ Omot, it's who I failed to mention, the North Dakota wing. He's the guy that is going to be the biggest difference maker for Coach Cal. But again, I don't think it's going to be enough overall. Let's put California, let's put the Bears in the low tier. Sorry, Coach Madsen, dance for you one more time. But
be a dance.
I just think maybe one more year, get into the ACC, get it rolling, and then I got high hopes for Coach Madsen out there. I really do. And
yeah, so do I.
I don't know. I still don't understand how he ended up coaching Cal and not like they're gonna write a book about that. They're gonna write there's gonna be a movie when he's going to Final Fours with Cal. It's not going to be a good look for Stanford for sure. But anyways, Cal in the low tier. Mike, take over here. Give us what you think for Clemson. Bring some positivity for me, please.
There you go, man. I like the positivity from Peanut Butter,
yes,
All Coast Conference.
Yes, very good. That's
original, real original.
Very good. Yes, we're proud of you, buddy. Thanks for.
But yeah, I'll drop Clemson in here. 11-9 last year. We know the great run. You getting Hunter and Shefflin back. Their portal haul, it's not going to blow anyone away, but it was solid. You get Cincinnati big Victor Locken. He's a pretty good solid player. Jaden Zachary from Boston College, 11 points per game, 4 assists, can shoot it. It's a playmaker with range. I think this team's going to be pretty solid defensively, and they're going to have enough offensively to be in the elites of this league. So I like Clemson to flow up here in the LDL high tier. So yes, I will start at the very top, and I'll add to it, Duke. I mean, what are you going to say here? You have all these 5-star lottery picks. On paper, they're probably talent-wise the best team in the country. The transfer portal class, love it. We talked about James, Gillis, Malik Brown. These aren't Ryan Youngs and the Jacob Grandisons of the world. These are dudes that have started in big games, in big conferences, AAC for James. Mason Gillis played in the national title game last year as a sixth man. Malik Brown started in this conference last year at Syracuse. So, these guys can legit start for 75% of the teams in this conference. And I'm not going to forget about Caleb Foster. He's back. He's going to pair with Tyrese Proctor. That's a pretty good backcourt. So the Duke, of course, in the high tier here. And then I'll join you down here, man, just so you don't feel bad about starting with two teams in the low tier. Florida State. I don't even remember this team getting to 10 conference wins, so that in itself was pretty solid. Felt pretty rough for most of the season. But Jameer Watkins is back. Davis is going to need to step up. Chandler Jackson, I wrote him up as a potential breakout player on drroto.com. Feels like either Davis or Jackson do some heavy lifting here. I just don't think they're going to be good enough on both ends to really put up much of a fight, Jay, in this league. So Florida State, man, down there in the low tier. So we don't have anybody in the mid. Why don't you take the next two, man? Are you finally going to slot someone in the mid?
No, I'm not. Do you think that that's a Leonard Hamilton coaching job that got them to 10 wins in this?
Yeah, I think so, man. Because my goodness,
look at this. I mean, this roster, that might have been one of the better coaching jobs in the country.
I mean, to get them to 10 wins in the ACC, it was pretty. It's pretty rocky there.
I've got hope for them again this year. I understand putting them in the low tier, but I've got hope for the Seminoles. I don't have as much hope for Georgia Tech. I could see some improvement on this team, but I don't know if that 9 wins, that sort of that 9-win benchmark is within reach. Nathan George coming back, 10 points, 4 assists per game last year, going to be great in the backcourt. And then Bay is back and you're going to be in trouble. Hey now, and Ndongo's back. 12 points, 8 rebounds last season. George and Ndongo are bringing it for Georgia Tech. Reeves is coming back out on the wing. Senior. We haven't talked a lot about seniors tonight, that big time, that super experience. We talk a lot about the underclassmen. I bring it up. I really harp on it right now with Reeves. He's bringing that much needed experience because this is another one of the younger teams in the conference on the whole. The ceiling will be directly tied to the transfer class, and in particular, Javian McCollum. Big 12 country is where we live. We're familiar with his name and his game. He averaged 13 points and 3.5 assists for Oklahoma last year. Can Coach Stoudemire move these chess pieces around and squeeze another 7 wins out of this team? It's possible. I don't know if there's anything any higher than that, though. So I'm living in the low tier. I mean, I got 3 teams in the low tier for me right off the bat. And this is where the tide changes. And I'm going to do it for our guy, Peanut Butter Posse here. Shout out Peanut Butter Posse, the biggest Kentucky fan that I know. And shout out to Louisville, who finished 3-17 in conference last year. But they ain't finishing anywhere close to that this year, anywhere near that bad. I love Kool-Aid. I love me a little, it's 3 ingredients, right? It's sugar, water, and purple. I'm all about that. But in this case, it's sugar, water, and red. I'm drinking the red Kool-Aid of Louisville that Pat Kelsey and these transfer portal Avengers assembling in Louisville. We only spotlighted 4 of these guys, Hepper and Johnson, Edwards, and Pryor. What about Noah Waterman? What about Hadley? What about Smith coming over from Charleston? On talent alone, Mike, you cannot tell me this is not a top 5 team in the ACC. The conversation can be had about whether or not they can get it done on the defensive end. I can listen to that, but I'm drinking it. I'm drinking the red Kool-Aid right now.
Nice.
I am flying with the Cardinals up in the high tier tonight.
Let's do it, man. I'm with you. They have probably the widest range of outcomes in this conference. I mean, they could, if they finished 5th, I wouldn't be shocked. If they finished, 13th, I probably wouldn't be shocked. You know what I mean?
It's just blink an eye at it, dude.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. There. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll take a few here, Jay. Miami 6-14. We've already kind of discussed them, right? Pack and Cleveland are back. Obviously, Coach Larinaga, But they the Stetson transfer guard, Jalen Blackman, he was awesome last year. 21 points per game, 38% from three. Like, he has some serious upside in this offense. Norchad's gone, but Len Kidd, good portal pickup from Virginia Tech, 13.6.5 boards. He's a solid, big in the middle for them on both ends of the floor. I think it's going to be one of the better offenses in the league, and I think they're going to get into the 10+ win season. So I can't quite put them in the elites in this conference. Therefore, we'll slot Miami into the mid. North Carolina, we'll toss them up there, in that high tier, of course. Best roster on paper probably is Duke, but right behind them is UNC. You've got Cadeau, Davis. Seth Trimble dropped 33 points against Memphis when Davis was out during the exhibition. We talked about him being a solid piece. And if he's able to do half of that, they would absolutely take that. They have the 5-star freshman. You got Cade Tyson, talked about Van Allen Lubin. I think he's going to be a critical piece. But Jalen Washington, there's been talks. Cadeau was talking in an interview the other day about him being able to, blocking his shots and stuff like that. And he's kind of waited his turn behind Baycott. So I'm expecting him to have a solid performance this year. And this team has all the tools to cut down nets. Definitely.
Hold on. We're just going to gloss over 12-6 from Van Allen Lubin. Like, what?
Yeah. In the SEC.
I know you're not intentionally just brushing past it.
Yeah.
We're talking. We're just talking about how stacked this North Carolina team is.
Yeah, he's so underrated too. Like,
it's amazing to me. We watched him. We spent a lot of time talking about Van Allen Lubin last year, and now, like, North Carolina with this, talk about an assembly of talent as well. Like, I mean, it's just impressive to me. And I've been as down on the coaching there as anybody at certain points.
The roller coaster ride.
when you make the championship game and then you miss the tournament the next year, you deserve to be questioned. I am not questioning him any longer.
Sweet 16 last year, yeah. I mean, he's got it going. So I expect another Sweet 16 plus performance. The rival there, NC State, like we talked about losing Burns. Michael O'Connell's back, solid leader. Jaden Taylor averaged 11 points after coming over from Butler. Ben Middlebrooks was another one of those key pieces down the stretch for them. He's a big man. Expect him to do some work. We talked about Huntley Hatfield. Dontrez Styles, 13 points per game and 37% from three from Georgetown. He's a solid wing. I'm going to give you some offensive pop. This team probably has a little more juice than what's on paper and what people expect, right? Maybe we're just living off the high from last year. But North Carolina State, I think they're a team that we have to put in the mid-tier there, Jay.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's another team with some fluctuating outcomes that are very possible. And when you lose the heart and soul of your program like a DJ Burns, a guy that meant a lot to that program in more ways than one, it's tough. But again, like you said, Middlebrooks is a guy that can pick up some of that slack, and I like Styles' game a little bit. So we'll see what happens for North Carolina State. Peanut Butter, you should have been worried about my well-being a long time before my Louisville take. Okay, like let's not pretend like you didn't already have some questions that you felt like you should have asked about me a long time ago. I don't blame you though, man. I get it, but I'm all in. I'm drinking it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid for sure. And I'm like, maybe I don't know if I'm drinking the Kool-Aid for Shrewsbury squad out there in Notre Dame. I'll sip it a little bit though, because this is going to be one of the most improved teams in the country. The core is there. We talk to coaches that talk about developing freshmen that end up just taking that development and then actually applying it at other programs. Shrewsbury was able to retain much of that young core, including Marcus Burton. And then you got Shrewsbury's son, Braden, back, of course. Davis, 9 points, 5 boards, showed a lot of promise. Julian Roper in the backcourt, defensive stopper, very defensive-minded there is Roper. And then transfers is where it's sort of like you don't have to win the transfer portal name-wise to do well in the transfer portal, right? Like
100%.
Feels like a guy like you're just fishing around and where should we look? Princeton. Okay, let's look over at Princeton. What do we have over here?
Mataloco,
just hanging out and chilling. Why don't you come over here and hang out with us? That's probably one of the more underrated gets in this conference, Mike. So I'm gonna put Notre Dame in the mid tier, the old
Nice.
mid tier. Leave a little bit of room for cream. I mean, upside there at the top of that cup for Notre Dame too. Leave a little bit for upside. Okay.
I can tell you, my man. I'm with it. Pitt here, 12-8. I want to put these guys in the high tier. I really, really do. Friend of the program, Coach Capel. Obviously excited about what he's got in the backcourt. Leggett, you got Jalen Lowe off of his freshman year. The Diaz twins are back. In the front court, you got, Zach Austin. The transfers, like kind of the same thing with Notre Dame. Like it's not really the name recognition. Damian Dunn comes in from Houston after a few years at Temple. Cam Corrin from Florida State. He flashed a little bit there in the ACC last year. So obviously this team overachieved last year according to the expectations. I think 10 to 11 wins is about where they'll land. So I'll go mid again with some upside if they can steal a win or two from some of these higher tier teams. SMU, obviously joining the conference. They got the new coach, Andy Enfield. Pretty much an entirely new roster when the new coach comes in, but they did retain Chuck Harris. Old Chuck still shooting threes. We shot 41% last year. He stuck around. He's going to be tough for defenses to handle. Him and Kevin Miller going to be a pretty good backcourt. Matt Cross is a guy that has felt like he's played for every school in the country, but averaged 15 and 8, even 3 assists. He's a good passer for a big at UMass last year. They have some individual defenders that'll get after you. So very solid squad. I think SMU is going to be in the mid in their first year. Jay, what do you got here on Stanford?
Well, do you think before we go to Stanford, do you think that Enfield's going to have a difficult time getting the players that he needs at SMU?
No, I don't think so, man. I really don't think so. Like obviously his coaching resume. I mean, right. You say I just coached, Bronny James and Isaiah Collier and Boogie Ellis and Drew Peterson and like. The Mobleys, like, yeah, he's had NBA talent come through there and high-end NBA talent come through there. So now he's going to get some players, and he already has this year. I think it's going to take him a few years to really get it going, but that's an exciting hire for SMU.
It's not like they don't have any money up there in Dallas either, so, they can
a little bit
probably figure those things out on that campus for sure. I want to be positive. I want to say that another team with a little bit of red will also find a way to figure it out, but I don't think Stanford is going to answer the call this year. They did keep Reynaud, right? Like,
yeah, that's huge.
I mean, that was big. They had to have it.
Yeah.
But without that, I mean, this is an even easier call to make. But it's still, I don't know, man. They lost a lot. Incoming guys, I want to see it. Jalen Blakes comes over from Duke, a little bit of pedigree there. I like the long-term prospect of UC Irvine transfer guard, Darren Saran, 10 points per game as a freshman last year. So defensively, again, this is where another team where I just struggle to see them getting it done. And honestly, there's going to be a lot of nights where they're not really getting it done on the offensive end either. I just got to see it with this, whatever it is that they've sort of put together. I don't know what they're doing. This is why it's even more frustrating if you're a Stanford grad or a Stanford supporter or whatever.
Yeah.
That Mark Madsen is coaching at Cal right now.
Yeah.
And the arrow's on the way up. Oh. And you can't even see. Rhodey doesn't like it either.
He doesn't like it either, man.
Rhodey doesn't know why Stanford didn't pull the trigger, and he's figuring out why they can't even keep their head above the water. They're not even treading water right now. What's going on over there? Put them in the low tier. We're going to forget about them. I'm not even going to pay much attention. They're going to have to just show me something and blow me out of the water for me to pay any attention to them this year. From tuning in with it. I watch North Carolina just ragdoll them or something like that because I want to watch the Tar Heels. But man, they're gonna have to show me something.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like that. Yeah, this is develop some of your younger guys. Hope you can retain them. Situation. Maybe Reynaud gets you a few extra wins, but pretty rough here. We'll move on. A couple of what we got? Four more or so here. 18. A lot of tiers to fill up here. Syracuse 11 in line. Like Judah Mintz obviously out the door, but. Like Autry's done a great job since Boeheim retired, obviously last year. Still have JJ Starling. Just hope that transfer guard, Carlos here from Hofstra, 10 points per game, 6 assists. Like he can be the same playmaker at this level. We'll see how that transfers. Lampkin's there, so you get some down low buckets. You got the 5-star freshman Donnie Freeman that we talked about. Some young guys with pedigree that we haven't really seen. Those guys probably take a step forward. I'll keep Syracuse here in the mid, and then we got to talk about Virginia. You felt like even though the roster is not exciting year in and year out, that you would just put them in the high tier because of Tony Bennett, the defense. Somebody's going to step up, for Beekman this year. It happens every year. Their main guy goes out, and then somebody comes in and takes over for a couple of years.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, I mean,
who's that guy? Is there one?
McNeely, Rhodey.
I love McNeely, but
yeah, TJ Power, obviously a big time prospect that just couldn't seem to find a way on the court with all those all this talent at Duke. He's a breakout candidate that I wrote up. Thought that he was going to be an excellent shooter, good size, obviously high pedigree, a top 25 type recruit last off season. So just without Bennett, like there's just too many question marks. I had to put them in the mid. Wanted to put them in the high before the news today. And there's a real floor here, depending on kind of what happens here. I got to see it, right? I think it would 6 games, I wouldn't be shocked. So we'll stick Virginia there in the mid, and then Virginia Tech 10-10. They lost a lot. Padula, Couture, Kidd, they're all gone. Portal wasn't super friendly. They're super young. I like Heiser Miller from Temple. He's a solid guard, but I don't know. Here in the ACC, it's going to be kind of tough. They're not going to be able to do much offensively. They're going to have a hard time stopping people. Like you can just slot Virginia Tech there in the low, and then I will. I'll let you take the last one here. A team that you typically like here, Wake Forest. Are they gonna get over the hump? They've been on a bubble team for 2-3 years now.
I do typically like Wake. And I do like what Coach Forbes has been doing out there. He's been sort of knocking on attorney's door. He's been doing it. It's been a few years now. Just anybody home? Not quite yet. But this might be the year to do it. This program has been built up behind the explosion of portal guards. And this year, Coach Forbes actually keeps one of the most important ones that you could probably say in terms of a program changer, like just sometimes retaining your players is the best portal that you have. And that's what Hunter Salas brings to the table here as one of the top players in the league. Cam Hildreth is back as well for another run in the backcourt. And then Reed obviously returning the big man down low, 10 points, 8 boards, one of the best returning bigs in the conference as well. Bunch of freshmen, got some PT last year, a little bit of playing time, saw the floor. And now they're all sophomores and ready to roll. Whatever, call it the positivity that I'm feeling today coursing through my veins, whatever it might be, put them in the high tier right there. The Fighting Tim Duncans right there up at the top. But we're going to start at the bottom here. Oh, we got another 18-teamer here that we might have to zoom out even a little bit more. We got it. Is Virginia the last one there? Yeah, I think they are right there. Okay, we got it all fit in. Perfect. Of course, the graphics department's on top of it. Who do you think is doing that behind the scenes? That's our guy, Eric, doing his thing. As we look at Boston College, Cal, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Stanford, and Virginia Tech down there at the bottom. The old mid-tier, Miami, North Carolina State, Notre Dame, Pitt, SMU, yes, that SMU, and the ACC. That's right, Peanut Butter Posse. It might be stranger than Cal and Stanford, if we're really talking about it. SMU, what are we doing in the ACC? Mike, I could spend a whole half hour here just talking about these new teams in these conferences, but we don't have that much time because we got to get to Syracuse and Virginia rounding out the mid-tier, and then the teams that realistically have a shot to win this conference. And that does include Louisville, Peanut Butter Posse, Clemson, Duke, Louisville, North Carolina, come on and raise up, and then Wake Forest there at the end. Good stuff. What a conference. 18
there it is.
Teams, Mike. I mean, Again, 18 teams. right there with the Big Ten in terms of the enormity, I guess, if you will. Like,
yeah, SEC's at what, 16? Big Ten and ACC are at 18. We get a break though. Our next show is the Big East, and there's only 11. So that's gonna feel. That's one of the last three we got here, man. We got the Big 12, the SEC, and the Big East. So we're we're gonna be rolling 11 teams in the Big East. So won't quite be as long of a preview show. But hey, man, these are the power conferences. Like, we got to spend some time on them.
Yeah, we definitely do. We got to treat them like they're our sweet child of mine. We're doing the Axl Rose. Got it in there for Peanut Butter Posse. Appreciate you there. Yeah, Big East next up on the agenda. So make sure that you hit the notification bells, the subscribe button, do all those things so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage. Like tonight, what a show. All ACC all the time tonight. We love to see it. We love Peanut Butter Posse for being in the live chat. We love you for hanging out with us and watching on YouTube or Elon's Hellhole or wherever you are in this great land on whatever viewing device that you're watching us on, whether it's your iPhone 11 that you need to turn in like me, or wait, I have a 13. Doesn't matter. It's not working anymore. I got to get a new one. Watch it on the phone here. If you're watching on your 150-inch projector screen on your wall, which is the best way to watch One and Done, by the way, we appreciate you. So make sure you hit all those buttons to show us some love. Big East up next. Make sure you follow at One and Done CVB on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Make sure you follow my guy El Capitan, MC Holland 34 in those Twitter streets. At Fantasy Nav, I got Eric pushing the buttons tonight. I got Napesy Hustle at The Real Napier. Follow Chris as well. I happen to be the conductor of this whole thing, this whole Green Screens Media train. Make sure you follow us on all those things. Make sure you tell somebody you love them. Take care of yourself, because I'm the JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.